Lifeboat Coach Podcast, the podcast where I have casual conversations with other coaches and guests about how you can regain your health using human evolutionary and WILDFIT principles. Come join us. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Lifeboat Coach Podcast. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the WILDFIT principles. I'm going to make it short because this is one of those things that I can go on for quite a while. And I'm not sure if everybody would appreciate listening to an hour and a half, 2 hour podcast. So I'm going to try and make this one a little bit shorter. But if you are interested in reading more about the WellFit principles and learning more about them, I did a collaboration, and I think I mentioned it on the last podcast with a few other coaches. We have something called the Nourish and Flourish Network. We meet on a regular basis, and we talk a lot about basically WildFit and how to be better coaches and what we can do to help more clients. And we collaborated on an ebook about the principles. So I will leave information in the show notes with the for the podcast. And if you want to find more out, you're more than willing to check out the information that's in there about the fellow coaches. There's 6 of us all together, and the ebook is called How to Nourish and Flourish. And essentially, it's talking about some of our experiences, and we each took a couple of principles and kind of elaborated a little bit more on them. So you'll learn a little bit more about the WildFit principles if you want to check it out. So check it out in the show notes, and if you're wanting to find out more, it's available to purchase at Amazon. All right, let's get into the podcast. So principle number 1 is we stand for food freedom. And what does that mean? Well, just like I said, I'm going to do a quick highlight on these. Food freedom is really about knowing how to choose food that is good for your body, that your body evolved to eat, that's going to help you um, live a longer, healthier, happier life without feeling guilty, without all the pressures of the types of foods. It's about understanding how what you're eating is affecting your body, whether it's good, whether it's bad. It's about you understanding the emotions behind what you're eating and making decisions and knowing that you're making the decision, not someone else, not advertising, the food industry, friends, people, people may be shaming, whatever. It's about you making the decision because you want to make the decision and you know it's the right decision. Or maybe it's not the right decision, but it's a decision you decided and understand what the possible outcome could be. And that's the food freedom that I'm talking about. When you can choose food without any pressures, without any influence, without any outside pressure or influence, and inside pressure influence. Um, Next one is diet means a way of life. Think about the word diet. What's the first 3 letters in the word diet? It's die. We don't go on diets to live a healthier life. We go on diets because we haven't been eating properly or living a healthy life, and we're trying to figure out how to get better. And WildFit and what I coach is about, and likewise with a lot of the coaches I'm going to have on, what we coach is what our body evolved to eat. Think about our ancestors 200,000-300,000 years ago. Uh, there was only certain things available, and so the body had to adjust and be able to learn how to absorb those nutrients. And it's even been longer since that. I mean, human evolution has been going on for a couple of million years, and that's how long it took for our body to be able to build itself and then absorb the foods, the right foods that are good for us. You know, We had to run around and find food. We had to, whether it was, roots or vegetables growing out of the ground, whether it was animals that we hunted down, whatever the case may be, our body had to adjust to be able to absorb the nutrients from those things available to us at the time we were evolving. So it means a way of life. Diet, you shouldn't have to go on a diet. Every species, this is a little bit of a hint, every species has its own diet. Um, that's a wild fit principle. That's principle number three. So you think about it this way. If an elephant in captivity, when they first started, unfortunately, capturing elephants to bring them into circuses and zoos, would only live 7 or 8 years, is that what it really lived out in the wild? And did they call it a wild diet? Well, they may have then, but it was its actual diet. And in the wild, it would live to be 60 and 70 years old. So what's better for you, to live the diet that you are supposed to have or to live a diet that someone puts you on? I would transgress to say that it's a diet that, you're supposed to live on. And the next one is, the closer every species lives to their natural diet, the better health they're going to experience. Again, it goes back to, the elephant situation, and it's every animal. I mean, think about a lion or a tiger. What do they live on? They live on meat. Do you think they're going to live longer if they go out and eat grass? No. Do you think they're going to live? Probably not. They're probably not going to have the energy to go out and catch the prey that they need to catch. And then you got a leaf cutter ant. What's it going to eat? It's not going to eat meat. It's going to eat leaves or whatever they eat. But there's every animal, every species, every creature out there has an intended diet, a diet they evolved to eat. So the health, or the closer you live to that diet, the healthier you're going to be, because it's what your body wants. And do you think that human beings are living close to what we actually intended to eat, with all the processes and chemicals out there to make their food cheaper and faster so we can find it easier? No, no, it's not, and it's affecting our body. I mean, think about all the autoimmune conditions. Think about the type 2 diabetes, the heart disease. Think about, all the sicknesses out there, ADHD, ADD, all these things that are out there because we're not eating the way our bodies intended us to eat. And that's what these principles about. The next one is, it's kind of funny because a lot of people say food is medicine. It's not. Food is not medicine. Take away something and you're going to get sick. But if you're eating everything you're supposed to eat, you're not going to get sick. You might get a cold or something like that, or if someone else has something that's, unfortunately been created that now we're going to catch, yeah, you might get sick from that. But if you're eating what you're supposed to eat and what your body intended for you to eat, and what it is going to nourish your body, you're not going to get as sick, maybe. You're not going to get as sick as often. I can tell you, since I've been a WildFit coach and since I've been in WildFit, I don't get sick that often. Did I get COVID? I did, but I was able to get over it. And after COVID, I really, really dug into paying attention to what I was eating and eating exactly and nothing extra, what I needed. And I hadn't gotten even a cold in over 4 years. And I can tell you, when I do get a cold now, it's growing up, I used to get colds that would last a month, month and a half, and it would get so bad that my sinuses would hurt and water so bad I couldn't see. And talk about trying to work when that happens, especially when you're a mechanic, it doesn't work very well. So now when I get them, they last about a week. I might have the same issue where my sinuses burn a little bit and my eyes water a little bit, but it's nothing major and it's gone. It's gone really, really quick. Have I been truly, truly sick? I don't remember the last time I've been super sick or truly sick other than COVID. So, and even at that, it wasn't that bad. So I guess these are the things that, you have to look at when you think about, is food medicine? Food isn't medicine. Food is required. It's what we need. Everybody talks about superfoods. Uh, you know, I don't know that there's no such, the only superfood is the food that we are supposed to have. That's really the only superfood out there, and it's not medicine. Medicine is something you take if you do get sick. You get sick if you don't get all the proper nutrients that you want. Think about it. You take away vitamin C, what happens? You end up with scurvy. You could end up dying. But it's not because you you don't get better because you start taking it again. You get better because you required that. You needed that. So it's not medicine. The next one is the human diet is cyclical, not cyclical. What does that mean? Well, it's no different than nature. Nature has seasons. We've got winter, spring, summer, and fall. Or if you want to start it a little bit different, we got spring, summer, winter, and fall, or fall and winter. You get the point. Our diet, our evolutionary diet was based on that. And so if we don't go through those seasons, then we're going to have some issues. Right now, the majority of the population out there, what, 80 some percent probably, is stuck in a season of fall. And what does that mean? Well, what's available in fall? Fruits, root vegetables, carbohydrates, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of carbohydrates. And we're all stuck in fall. And the unfortunate thing is, most of the food out there, the food manufacturers are putting sugar in and hiding the sugar names so that you don't even know they're in there unless you learn about them and pay really, really close attention. You have to read the labels. And they can even hide it now under natural flavorings. Oh, less than 2%. And so they don't have to list that it's on there. But it's still sugar. It's still a processing. Half the times you can't even read half the ingredients. And that's what's keeping us in that junk fall. So with the seasons, in spring, food was becoming abundance as we were evolving. The rains would come in and, vegetation would start to grow, which allowed us to have the vegetables. And then because of that, then more animals that ate the vegetation would come out and then all of a sudden everything, all of them are giving birth. And next thing you know, the carnivore, the carnivores out there, the lions, tigers, cheetahs, whatever, they're out there eating more because now they're finding prey in abundance. And so food was in abundance in springtime. Summer rolled around. But remember one thing though, in springtime there was no carbs. There was no fruit. By this time it had died off. So now all of a sudden, summer rolls around and you're starting to get more of the ground berries and some of the early root vegetables and things like that. So there's a different style of food available, which gave us a little more variety, and wanted us to get out more. And then as fall rolls around, we start ending up eating a lot of fruit and things like that, which is signaling to our body, hey, we got one more season left. That season's winter. And if I remember correctly, during wintertime, sometimes it was hard to find food. So those carbs signaled to our body, one, start storing fat, get ready, because that was our long-term energy, was the fat stores. It gave us something to burn to be able to survive. And the other thing that it did was, you know, tell our body that with that fat storage, um, we're probably going to have to do some body repair too. So then all of a sudden we get into winter, and winter rolls around. Oh, so it'll give us cravings. Do you get sugar cravings? You know why you get sugar cravings? It's because it's your body saying, look for more carbs, look for more carbs. We need to survive. So that's a survival mechanism. And then all of a sudden winter rolls around. Now what happens? Well, now that's going to start, food's scarce, food's hard to find. So you're going to be able to burn those fat stores. But the other thing winter is good for is autophagy. So protein cells that are starting to get, worn out or bad. Maybe you've got some DNA that's broken apart, things like that. Your mitochondria is starting to break down. So your body starts burning those along with the fat for energy in times of need when there is no food available. So it's kind of a cleansing. And then guess what happens after that? You got it, spring rolls around. So that's what I mean by the human diet is cyclical. And you kind of heard me mention about the food manufacturers and junk fall hiding sugars everywhere. So that comes to our next principle. We don't trust food manufacturers. And part of it is because of that. They have to make money. So how are they going to make money? Well, they have to make food cheaper and faster and get people to eat more of it. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to come up with, all sorts of shortcuts to be able to make food that isn't really food. They have to make it taste really good. So what are they going to do? They're going to hide sugars. Think about it. When nutrient labels and ingredients used to first put sugar on there, it was just called sugar. And it might be, second or third and then popping into first. Well, now all of a sudden people are starting to realize, hey, sugar is not good for you as a primary source of nutrients in a food. So then they start coming up with other kinds of names, dextrose, sucrose, and things like that, and they break them apart. Now you might see one or two or three different types of sugars mixed into the ingredient list, but if you put them all together, guess where they go? Right up to number one again or number two. So that's why we don't trust food manufacturers because they're hiding things on us. Not that they're trying to be mean, but they need to make a living too. I mean, that's what they do. So when we start eating healthy and buying whole foods and things like that, then maybe it'll send a signal to say, hey, start coming up with ways to get us whole foods and maybe we'll start buying more of those and then they'll stop making as much of the processed stuff and putting as much sugar in it. Everything in moderation includes your health. In other words, don't that's that the principle is basically saying, if you want to a moderate health, then do everything in moderation. You want to make sure that you're getting good foods. Don't be moderate about it. Um, if you live life in moderation, you're going to have a moderate life, and it's not going to be a long, healthy, happy life. So don't eat in moderation. Eat good foods and eat the right whole foods, nutrient dense foods, and eat them in plenty. Next one is nothing tastes as good. Nothing tastes as good as optimum health feels. There we go. That's what it is. It basically just like it says. I mean, if you're eating everything you need to eat for your body and you're living a very healthy life, you've reduced aches and pains, you're not sick anymore. Maybe you've reversed type 2 diabetes. Your hair is growing again, your skin feels more supple, you have more energy. I don't care how good something tastes, if it's going to affect those things, it's not that good tasting anymore. A lot of times people will say, "Hey, you should try this. It tastes really good." Yeah, okay, it may taste good, but what's in it? Because if there's a bunch of stuff in it that's going to make me sick or cause inflammation and make me hurt, I don't want it. I don't want it. It's not worth the taste. I'd rather be healthy. I'd rather live a longer, healthier life. At 60 years old, I want to live to be 120. I'm halfway through my life. That's the way I like to look at it. Doesn't matter how good it tastes if I can't get that 120 and feel happy and healthy and joyful. And I can tell you, when you start eating better, foods start tasting different. And the things that maybe didn't have taste before start to taste good. So now you don't need all that sweet tasting sugar stuff. Treat yourself well. That's another one. If you're going to treat yourself well. And what does that mean? Well, I mean, it's just like it says. I mean, think about it. Think about a sports car. If you've got this really expensive 200,000, 300,000, now $1 million sports car, and you're out driving it all over high speeds and having a good time, you work it really hard, you come back. Are you going to put cheap fuel in it? Are you going to put something in it that it's not going to run as good anymore? No, you're going to take care of it. You're going to give it the proper oil changes. You're going to give it the proper fuel to make it run like it's supposed to run. Well, your body's no different. Your body's no different. You know, just because you want a treat, find something that's good for you. Come up with something that's good for you and have a treat. Does that mean that it's going to happen all the time? Probably not. Most people slip a little, which we really don't slip or we don't fall off the wagon. It's again, it's about the food freedom. Number one principle. It's about food freedom. But make sure you're treating your body well so that you can live a longer, happier, healthier life. And I talk about slipping. We don't fail. So, most diets out there, if you fall off the bandwagon or if you have a cheat, and really, is cheating a good thing? I mean, people on diets, when they have a cheat, they act like it's a good, it's a good thing. I'm going to cheat. If you cheat in life, you cheat on a test, you cheat on a spouse, you cheat on a partner. Is that a good thing? I don't think so. Not at all. So most diets shame you when you fail or when you cheat or you know have a treat day. So don't fall into that trap. We don't um, we don't fail. We have experiments. And is it okay to experiment? It is. I mean, say you're eating something and you realize there was something in it. You didn't pay close enough attention and you realize there was something in it. Turn it into an experiment. First of all, what was the emotion that you had, or what was the thought you had that made that decision for you to have whatever it was? And how did you feel when you made that decision? Because I'll bet you most of the time, the feeling you're looking for, you end up getting when you make the decision and not when you have the first bite. But then how did the first bite taste, the second bite, the third bite? Um, Typically, something that's really, really good, maybe later on, it doesn't taste as good after you've had two or three bites. Or if you're paying attention and you have it instead of, not thinking about it, you just start eating it, but you think about it as you're eating it, you might realize that it doesn't taste as good. And then how did you feel a half hour later, maybe the next day? You start experimenting like that and paying attention to it, paying attention to what you were thinking and what your dialogue was in your head. And all of a sudden it becomes an experiment. And so it's not a fail. You've learned from it. And if you've learned that it's not one of the foods you want or it doesn't make your body feel good, eventually you might move it down to the point where you don't even eat it anymore. I have things like that. Mountain Dew, I used to drink 24 cans a day, a case a day. Now I don't drink it at all. I don't even want it because it's so sugary and sweet. And I know what it's doing to my body. And that leads us to the last principle: lead, don't push. What does that mean? Well, I like that one because it means that you're not out there trying to control somebody and tell them what to do, essentially is what it comes down to. You do what you do with your journey and your lifestyle change. And if you are getting healthier, your pains are going away, you're sleeping better, you're starting to look better, your hair is growing back in, your skin's getting better, you're releasing some weight. We like to say release because honestly, if you lose weight, do you really want to find it again? So just release it and let it go. But they start to see these things and they may go, "Hey, what are you doing? Because you look phenomenal or you look fantastic." Then you can tell them, but don't walk up and go, because you have these changes going, "Hey, I see you eating this. You need to stop doing that. You've got to stop doing that because it's not good for you." They're not going to listen to you because if they don't want to change at the time, or if they don't think they have a problem at the time, then they're not going to change. And if they didn't ask, they don't want to hear it. So be the example, set the example, and let them come and ask you. So I hope these principles are something that you can understand. And like I said, if you want to learn more about them and get deeper into them, feel free to check out the book that we wrote called How to Nourish and Flourish. Like I said, I'll leave it in the show notes. And if this was something you want to explore more, reach out and keep following me because I'll tell you, we've got some awesome coaches that are going to be coming up, and we'll probably talk more about these principles later on in the coaching or in the podcast. If you enjoyed it, hop on into the lifeboat, and if I need to, I'll get a bigger boat for all of us. Thanks, everybody. And remember, sometimes the questions may be complicated, but the answers are simple. Thanks, everybody. Check out the ebook.